Howdy everyone. Alright, well you just watched a time lapse of me obviously installing these cylinders and a couple of observations again. So my original plan was to pull the torque plates off in pairs only and then put those cylinders on in torque and then remove the other ones, the other torque plates, put those cylinders on in torque because I didn't like the idea of having all four torque plates removed. But because the way that the cylinders are positioned and because the way that the through bolts go through the cylinders, you have to take all four off at once because, like for instance, this through bolt here, it's the bottom of this cylinder flange. This through bolt mates, it's the same bolt on the top of the flange of this cylinder. So in order to tighten this through bolt that goes through here, you have to have this bottom, this lower cylinder, and this top cylinder in place to do that one through bolt. So it's not a direct across between cylinders, such as this cylinder here, this through bolt here on this lower cylinder. There is no cylinder on this side. That's why you have the big spacer here. So anyway, my idea was not going to work because you have to have all cylinders in place before you can start torquing, because some of the through bolts share diagonal cylinders, if you will. So I just did that, of course. I just did all of the half-inch through bolt and what I call anchor studs, because I think this one here, this one on both sides, this is not a through bolt. This is just a stud. But it's the same size as the through bolts. The four corners of each cylinder are the half-inch. So I did all of those on all four cylinders, and those are torqued correctly. Next step will be to lubricate and install the smaller, I think these are either 5/16 or 3/8 nuts on these studs. So there's going to be 4 locations for each cylinder, 2 on the bottom, 2 on top for each cylinder. I'm going to do those next. I'm going to torque those, and then I'm going to go back and recheck the torque on the half-inch, because there's a chance that when you get these 4 studs and nuts torqued, it may loosen up the torque on these other ones. So I'm just going to get those all installed and go back and recheck. I'm going to keep going round and round between all of the nuts on all the cylinders just to make sure that they hold torque. And of course you do that with everything well lubricated. So that's it. Obviously that's all I've done so far. So I'm going to take a break, then I'm going to come back out and start on those smaller studs and nuts. And I'm not really sure what comes after that, but whatever it is, I will get it on film. All right, coming along nicely. Thanks for stopping in, and I'll talk to you guys here shortly. See ya. Howdy everyone. Alrighty, so let's see. Obviously we've got the cylinders on the engine now, and the hardware is installed and torqued, so I believe these are finished as far as the installation goes. I will be checking torques just because it's mildly cool in my shop, and just for my own mental well-being, as I continue to work on this and do different things, every now and then I'll probably throw a torque wrench on those base nuts just to make sure that that they're good. But should be fine. I don't see why they would really change at all. So next up, if I haven't already talked about this, will be the valve train installation. So I've got to put the little plunger assemblies and the push rod retainers in each of these tappet bodies, and then push rod tubes, seals, all of that, rocker arms, the rocker arm pin, all that stuff. Potentially, I'll at least put the covers on. I don't think those get torqued quite yet, but I don't know. I'm not there yet. So I'm just going to kind of wrap that up. I've got the little fuel nozzles need to go in. Of course, there's a lot of other little things, right? There's, the fuel nozzles got to go in. I still have to figure out what to do with these different plugs that need to be plugged, the different spots that need to be plugged. There are the oil drain back tubes need to be put in. Of course, the intake tubes need to be put on. I still have to figure out what to do with the fuel servo, alternator. I don't know at this point how much more I'm going to do on this engine, just because my main goal for my 3-week build fest, the main goal was to start on Avionics and really make some headway on the Avionics. And I haven't done that yet. I haven't even started. So some of the auxiliary pieces parts like alternators, intake tubes, potentially the fuel servo, I may not even worry about those. I may put this on the back burner, work on Avionics, and come back to this later. But I don't know. We'll see. But I would at least like to get some of these smaller items. I'd like to get the valve train completed so I can put these caps on. I would like to do the intake tubes because I'd like to close up as many of the open ports as I can. But I don't know if I'm going to do that because I want to polish those, and I don't know if I'll be able to polish those while I'm home. But we'll see. A lot of questions at this point, a lot of open ends to wrap up. So I don't think I'm going to do any more time lapse. You guys are probably getting kind of bored with those. Those really don't show much or explain much. And since this is not going to be a tutorial type of video series anyway, the whole thing might be getting boring to a lot of people. So I think I'll just go ahead and do my thing, and as I get stuff completed, I'll come back and videotape it, but I don't think I'll do any more time lapse. All right. So I'm going to get cranking on whatever's next, and I will talk to you guys later. Howdy, everyone. Well, I've decided that this is as far as I'm going to go with the engine rebuild at this time. I've got the vast majority of it reassembled, but I think I'm gonna stop here and move on to Avionics. So, like I had mentioned before, my main goal during this time off for Christmas was to do the Avionics, or at least get started on them right away and see how far I can get within a 3-week time frame. But I really wanted to get this engine assembled to a point where I was comfortable and happy with the progress. And so that's what I've been working on. And I'm at the point now where I think I've got enough done on it that I'm happy, and I'm ready to move on to other things. So you can see, obviously, the cylinders are on. The the valve train on all cylinders is complete and installed. These valve covers are not tight. These have not been torqued. These are just basically plugging up big open spaces for now. And then I've got some tape on a lot of the accessories up here just to try to keep things somewhat clean. I put the spark plugs in again. They're not tight. They're just laying in here just to plug up a couple of holes. Same with these air dry plugs. Of course, these need to be recharged. These are not doing anything. Not that they would, because I've got open ports all over the place still. So, intake ports. Of course, I've got the intake and exhaust ports open on all the cylinders. So like I had said, I still got to make I got to connect the inlet tubes. I've got to install the alternator. I've got to install the fuel injection servo, all kinds of loose ends. But I'm going to stop here. I'm going to try to find a bag, maybe a trash bag, some kind of a bag just to put over this to keep the dust off of it. Try to keep some bugs out of it and roll this thing somewhere out of the way, and then move on. So that's that. Everything on it has come out really, really, really well. I'm happy with the color as compared to what it was. I know this isn't for everyone, but I prefer this look over the way that it had looked. Of course, now it's clean. I know everything inside is clean. I know everything has been re-lubricated with fresh oils and lubricants. So very happy with how that has gone. I'm very happy with the way it has turned out so far. And I got my workbench cleaned up. So this is ready for everything avionics. And I'm going to get started on that. I'm not really sure what that's going to be because the last thing that I did that was even remotely related to avionics was this battery install. And I'm using the Vertical Power VPX and the Vertical Power PPS boxes. And I think that's where I need to start, but I'm not sure. I'm going to have to look into that. I believe I got to start with mounting the PPS on the firewall and run some connections and then figure out where I'm going to put the VPX Pro. So I think that's going to be step one, but I'll get into that here shortly. So for now, like I said, engine work is complete. I'll come back to this at a later date. I don't know if it will be immediately after my vacation ends. I don't know, but there it is for now. And I'll get going on avionics, and I will talk to you guys here shortly. See ya.